Good evening and welcome to the Buck Stops here. 10 days to go for the first phase of polling in this general election, and the Congress has released its party manifesto today, full of promises that are either going to be hard going to implement because of political opposition or because they will simply end up costing too much to an economy that's already hurting. We debate the value of manifestos and the ability to keep poll promises on the show tonight. Also on the Buck Stops here, the Supreme Court rejects the need for a special investigation team to look into the Muzaffarnagar riots. But that's hardly good news for the Akhilesh Yadav government. The court minces no words in telling the UP Chief Minister both he and his government failed to secure the fundamental right to safety of their citizens. It's also asked for all the accused, irrespective of political affiliation, to be denied tickets. But how will this play out at the polls? But first, our focus on the Congress party's poll promises. The ruling party manifesto triggered a war of words between the Congress and the BJP, while the Prime Minister, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi termed the UPA tenure a terrific 10 and made tall promises for the future. The BJP hit back, saying it was actually a terrible 10 years, and the party's manifesto is a document of deceit.
One hears these days about Gujarat model. The Congress model is the model which recognizes that there is a need for an expanding economy to provide lasting solutions to the problems of poverty.
मोदी जी एक विचारधारा को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं। वो विचारधारा हिंदुस्तान को नुकसान करने वाली विचारधारा है।
जिन लोगों के पास 125 करोड़ देशवासियों के सवालों के जवाब नहीं है, अपने पापों का हिसाब देने की हिम्मत नहीं है, वो अब सेक्युलरिज्म के खोखले झूठे नारे बोल करके देश के नौजवानों को गुमराह नहीं कर सकते।
Opinion polls, I frankly must admit I don't have much faith in them. If you remember, in 2004, the Congress was over, the story of the Congress was finished.
It is not a manifesto, but it is a document of deceit. The entire manifesto appears to be devoid of credibility, bereft of substance, and seriously lacking in seriousness.
Promises galore in the Congress manifesto, from the right to health to housing for low-income groups. The Congress party even promises to make 2/3 of India middle class. Clearly, the focus in the next few days will be on the campaigning and not on delivering the promises. But the focus and the big question is, will these be able to be delivered? With camera person Divan Singh, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
Well, we're going to be joined on a discussion on the Congress manifesto by the Congress party spokesperson Sanjay Jha. We're waiting for him, but we will also have Chandan Mitra from the BJP, the Rajya Sabha MP, and also senior economic journalist and now the editor of the Amar Ujala group, M.K. Venu, joining us. Chandan Mitra, I want to ask you first, you all have called this a document of deceit, the Congress party's manifesto. You also are expected to release a manifesto that hasn't been forthcoming yet. So on what basis are you attacking the Congress party's manifesto today?
Well, you don't have to wait for our manifesto to know that the Congress party's manifesto is a bundle of lies and false assurances which they have been making year after year, election after election, in which they have entirely failed. It is completely deceitful. It is really a pack of lies. And I think nobody in this country who is of any intellectual worth will at all endorse this kind of, repetition or regurgitation of a whole set of untruths of every few years.
Right. Untruths every few years, and yet there are policies in there which I'm sure most party manifestos will also talk about. It's about making lives better for the general public of the country. What specific policies of the Congress as displayed in this manifesto do you have the gravest objections to?
Look, I haven't read the manifesto as yet because I am in my constituency campaigning and I don't have time for things like the Congress party's manifesto.
But
besides, that was not supposed to be the subject of discussion. So I am only reacting on the basis of one TV program I have heard. and it's the usual. We will reduce prices, we will have infrastructure, and Congress will take the country to great heights, and Narendra Modi is a divisive personality. We have heard each and every one of those comments over the last 5 years, ever since they got scared with Narendra Modi's emergence. So I don't have to spell out what I disagree with, but I know that they had promised to bring down prices within 100 days of being elected in power in 2009. And today, after 5 years, prices are at an all-time high. They inherited a growth rate of 8.4% from Atal Bihari Vajpayee. They have brought it down to 4.8%. The country's economy is in a shambles, industries in a shambles. Our Indian industrialists are investing abroad. Do I need to say more? Why I am calling this a bundle of lies? Is there anything, and even an iota of truth that the Congress party can claim to be speaking?
Okay, fine. We've got Sanjay Jha of the Congress party now joining us with us. Sanjay Jha, if you've heard Chandan Mitra calling the Congress party's manifesto a package of lies, the BJP earlier in the day has called it a document of deceit. You can react to those charges by the BJP, but also a very fundamental question that arises is the kinds of policies outlined in this manifesto are going to cost a lot of money to implement. How does the party propose to fund all these programs?
Maya, just give me a quick few seconds to first respond to Mr. Mitra. It's so typical of BJP. He hasn't read the manifesto. I'm glad he's been honest enough to confess it. But he can, wax eloquent on what's wrong with the manifesto. Firstly, we have nothing to do with Mr. Modi's divisive personality in the manifesto. Please don't interrupt me, Mr. Mitra. I'm speaking here. Mr. Modi's divisive personality is documented in millions and millions of pages on Google. So I don't even have to get into Mr. Modi's character or his personal profile. The fundamental point, though, is again two lies by the BJP. The inflation, by the way, is in a 2-year low. So clearly Mr. Mitra doesn't know his facts, or maybe he edits a paper that doesn't know what the content is. And secondly, the Congress UPA government inherited an economy from the BJP that was in absolute chaos. They took 1 year of growth when their average is less than 5.5%. So let's not even go down that road. Now, coming to our manifesto, Maya, let me tell you the fundamental point that we are going to these elections with to the people of this great country. We have done the two things that any developing emerging market has a challenge on. One, to maintain growth, and second is to reduce inequality. We have succeeded in both at around 7.5% GDP growth rate.
Okay.
And Maya, let me tell you, GDP is the one accepted international benchmark which tells you the health of an economy. On that, just give me a second. If we have done roughly close to 8% on that for 9 years and less than 5 in the last year, they have lifted 140 million people out of poverty. And India has got today a very strong current account. I don't think Mr. Mitra knows his economics. I don't know what he knows of his politics.
Well, Mr. Jha,
I know much better than you.
India has grown. India has developed.
The definition of poverty also extremely controversial.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Can I speak, Maya?
Okay, gentlemen.
And now let me tell you.
You can't rattle off absolute voodoo figures.
No, 1 minute, Maya. Listen, I'm not going to allow Mr. Mitra.
Right, okay, all right.
Mr. Mitra does not, his party does not allow us to speak in Parliament.
Mr. Jha and Mr. Mitra.
Maya, 1 minute. Maya, 1 minute. It's our manifesto today. I'm not going to allow the BJP.
You've made your point. Let's just get NK Venu.
I haven't made my point
yet. Okay, let's get a neutral observer in right now. Break it up, gentlemen. Let's get a neutral observer in right now. MK Venu,
give me 30 seconds.
Tell us.
Give me 30 seconds here. Mr. Mitra cannot drown out the day when it's a Congress manifesto day. Right. Yeah, so the point I want to make here, if you read this manifesto, we have actually created further empowerment and entitlement for the people of India. We are planning to lift 80 crore people of India into the middle class. I think that's a huge effort to make India a great economy.
30 seconds up. Let's get MK Venu in on this. Neutral observer, MK Venu. A few points that strike me is the definition of poverty has been an extremely controversial one for the Congress as well. 32 rupees a day was above the poverty line for the Planning Commission as well. Sanjay Jha is talking about figures and growth, and yet the sense of economic gloom contradicts the kind of claims the Congress is making about the way the economy has moved. The policies they're talking about, very rights-based policies, right to shelter, right to health, social security policy, these are things that are going to cost the exchequer money. Where is this going to be generated from, in your opinion, M.K. Venu?
Maya, first of all, the manifesto implicitly admits that 32 rupees a day poverty line per person per day doesn't work. That's why the manifesto talks about some 50 crore people above the poverty line who also need to be provided certain basic rights like housing, health care, pension, social security, etc. Now coming to the next point, delivering this is a very tall order in my view, because at present growth has slowed down to 5%. So when you had 8% GDP growth, you would have enough taxes coming out of that to fund these kind of rights based welfare policies. So unless growth recovers back to 8%, Maya, it will be very difficult to deliver a whole lot of new rights-based welfare
right. Chandan Mitra
schemes
wants to make a point over there.
To 50
Yeah,
crore
just
people.
one
Yeah,
minor point.
Venu, Chandan Mitra wants to make a point. Quickly, Ms.
Yeah.
Mitra.
I can make a assertion on this raising the funds for funding their programs. You see, they have looted so much money. 1,76,000 crore in 2G, 1,86,000 crore in the coal gate scam, 60,000 crore in Commonwealth Games scam. Now you total up all this, and that I think will fund a substantial part.
Lies,
in other words, after looting the money, now they are hoping to redistribute it. So I can tell you where the money is going to come from. But I hope that they have now become philanthropists and are going to return this money to the exchequer so that some good can come out.
All right,
of it.
Mr. Shah, one moment. Can I throw in
please?
a question there? You can respond to Mr. Mitra, but also another question for you.
Yeah.
Many of these promises made in this manifesto are promises we see across parties very often. They're just sort of platitudes sometimes as well. They carry over from manifesto to manifesto, election to election. You know, how seriously do we take all this? In any case, a party has released its manifesto. The BJP hasn't even released its manifesto yet. The Congress has released its manifesto. 10 days to go for the first phase of the polls. I mean, do you really expect voters to take the manifesto seriously?
No, we do. Absolutely, we do. And Maya, let me just remind you that if you look at our manifesto of 2009 or 2004, we have delivered on all the promises we made, barring those that could not happen in Parliament because the BJP spokesperson's famous party did not allow Parliament to function. I can tell you things like in the manifesto that we have, the Women's Reservation Bill, the Goods and Services Tax, the Direct Tax Code, communal violence bill. These could have all have been passed in Parliament, and this could not happen because you know it. We debated it on your channel.
Sorry,
there was.
Mr.
Can you request Mr. Mitra to kindly figure out? Mr. Mitra, I don't read the Pioneer. Don't worry about it. But let me finish. I'm speaking to Maya, not to you.
Don't read the Pioneer.
Maya, can you kindly intervene as an anchor because the BJP. Can the BJP at least let the TV studio function?
Right, Mr. Jha.
Now let me make a point. Now when you ask
right now because they don't know who is going to talk.
We voted for it.
Okay. Yes.
When you ask
Sanjay Jha, hang on, Sanjay Jha. Let Chandan Mitra respond.
He's talking nonsense.
Right. Let Chandan Mitra respond to you, and I'll give you the chance. Mr. Mitra, go ahead.
Women's bill was supported by the BJP. It is a BJP Deputy Chief Minister who headed the GST panel, and we have said we are in favor of the GST. What is he talking about? We passed the Land Acquisition Act. We helped the government pass the Lokpal bill. Each and every meaningful legislation has been passed by the BJP, and the Congress's own allies obstructed the Women's Empowerment Bill, Women's Reservation Bill. What are you laughing at? I mean, there's nothing to laugh. You should cry that you have allies like that whom you can't control.
Right. Okay, Sanjay Jha, that's a valid question. When a party releases its manifesto, you were the leading party in the UPA for 10 years. You had allies to take along with you. Again, the question is, you're making promises that are going to be difficult to implement. Now, you know this as well as a political person yourself, that these are not things you can take people along with so easily. How will you work around that?
Maya, let me tell you, in today's day and age, any political party that puts forth a manifesto, and I'm glad you are asking me these questions, needs to be subjected to tight public scrutiny. And that's why I'm going to tell you that when we are talking about the right to health, the right to housing, or social security, or the right to dignity, all these things are fundamental to the bigger objective that I just mentioned to you at the beginning, is how to take a large section of India up the middle class curve. And as M.K. Venu rightly said, very appropriately said, the Rangarajan committee is actually looking at making the definition of poverty even tighter. So here is a government, here is a party that is actually biting the bullet and saying these are the welfare schemes I have in mind for the people of India. More important, we know it, that the only way you can really make them more successful is not by running a high fiscal deficit.
Right, okay.
You need to have high growth.
All right.
Which is why when Mr. Rahul Gandhi spoke, he said at the very beginning, India needs inclusive growth. Big business, the poor and the middle class have all got to be working on this together. As a government, we will facilitate that interaction.
All right, Mr. Chandan
and
Mitra, very quick point, and let's take it back to M.K. Venu as well. Chandan Mitra, go ahead.
Just a quick point.
Yeah.
You see, their party, Mr. Sanjay Jha's party, will be left to bite spent bullets, because they believe that in 12 rupees you can get a full and substantial meal. Their leaders say so.
No, Gujarat government said rupees 10. Gujarat government said rupees 10.
So, you see, this is no. 12 rupees, your leaders said. I'm quoting your leaders. We are discussing your party, your manifesto.
Forget the leader. The government is adhering to planning commission. The government is adhering to planning commission. I don't know what you said.
All right, okay.
But the Gujarat government defined poverty at rupees 10.
10 rupees and 12 rupees.
Mr. Modi's government has defined poverty at rupees 10. You are making a mockery of the poor people in Gujarat. Your famous Gujarat model is a joke. Your famous Gujarat model is a joke, Mr. Mitra. The country can see that broad daylight.
M.K. Venu, if I can ask you, you know, we're looking at an electorate and an economy that right now really needs some resuscitation at this point in time. We have our two main parties quibbling in a sense over numbers. Now, as somebody who looks at the economy so closely, when promises like this are made, when you know, they're talking about 10 rupees versus 12 rupees, the Gujarat model versus the Congress model. Is it really about a manifesto? Is it about the numbers and getting the economy on track? Is it about the ideology? Is it about populism and just winning an election?
Maya, the fundamental issue in my view is both the BJP and Congress, they promise to deliver a lot of things to the poor, let's say the bottom 600 million people. But what eventually ends up happening is a whole lot of subsidies, 80% of the subsidies are cornered by the top 250 million middle class, and the political economy of the middle class today does not allow for transfer of subsidies away from them to the more needy bottom 600 million. This is a systemic problem which NDA and UPA both have faced and both have not been able to resolve.